Hi, I'm Jason Bockover,
I'm Dick.
and our topic is that coal is more cost-effective than nuclear. Now, first up, I wanted to talk about the coal uses. So coal has many important uses worldwide. The most significant uses are in electricity generation, steel production, cement manufacturing, and as a liquid fuel. Around 6.6 billion tons of hard coal were used worldwide last year, and 1 billion tons of brown coal. Now real quick, hard coal and brown coal are the two types of coal that are mined. Since 2000, global coal consumption has grown faster than any other fuel. The 5 largest coal users, China, USA, India, Russia, and Japan, account for 76% of total global coal use. Different types of coal have different uses. Steam coal, also known as thermal coal, is mainly used in power generation. Coking coal, also known as metallurgical coal, is mainly used in steel production. Different types of coal, The biggest market for coal is Asia, which currently accounts for over 67% of global coal consumption, although China is responsible for a significant proportion of this. Many countries do not have natural energy resources sufficient to cover their energy needs, and therefore need to import energy to help meet their requirements. Japan, Chinese Taipei, and Korea, for example, import significant quantities of steam coal for electricity generation and coking coal for steel production. Other important uses of coal include aluminum refineries, paper manufacturers, and the chemical and pharmaceutical industries. Several chemical products can be produced from the byproducts of coal. Refined coal tar is used in the manufacture of chemicals such as creosote oil, naphthalene, phenol, and benzene. Ammonia gas recovered from coke ovens is used to manufacture ammonia salts, nitric acid, and agricultural fertilizers. Thousands of different products have coal or coal byproducts as components. Soap, aspirins, solvents, dyes, plastics, and fibers such as rayon and nylon. Coal is also an essential ingredient in the production of specialties products. There are 3 types. Advanced carbon, which is used in filters for water and air purification and in kidney dialysis machines. Carbon fiber, an extremely strong but lightweight reinforcement material used in construction, mountain bikes, and tennis rackets. Silicone metal, which is used to produce silicones and salines, which are in turn used to make lubricants, water repellents, resins, cosmetics, hair shampoos, and toothpastes. Now that we were done with the coal uses, let's then move on to coal in the U.S., starting with the U.S. demand for coal. Total demand for U.S. coal reached 1.5 billion tons in 2010. Nearly half of U.S. electricity is generated from coal. 9 out of every 10 tons of coal mined each year in the U.S. is used for domestic electricity generation. Each person in the U.S. uses 3.4 tons of coal annually. Coal is the most affordable source of power fuel per million BTU, historically averaging less than 1/4 the price of petroleum and natural gas. There are approximately 600 coal generating facilities, 1,470 generating units, and 1,100 manufacturing facilities using coal in the U.S., according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, otherwise known as the EIA. The EIA estimates that 73% of all coal-based generating capacity was 30 years or older at the end of 2010. Coal accounts for about 30% of U.S. total energy production and 21% of total energy consumption. And I just want to say that coal has risen to 42% of U.S. total energy since this was put out. U.S. coal production. Nearly 30% of U.S. mines are owned by public companies. Public companies produce approximately 75% of U.S. coal. The U.S. produces about 1 billion tons of coal annually. Approximately 2/3 of today's coal production results from surface rather than underground mining. Mountaintop mining in Appalachia contributes approximately 10% of all coal mined in the U.S. and is roughly 40% of the coal mined in West Virginia and Kentucky. Now move on to U.S. reserves. The U.S. has nearly 261 billion tons of recoverable coal reserves according to the EIA. That's a 235-year supply at current rates of use. Coal accounts for approximately 94% of the nation's fossil energy reserve. Coal is found in 38 states under 458,600 square miles, or about 13% of the nation's land area. U.S. coal mining employment. U.S. coal mining directly employs nearly 136,000 people. For each coal mining job, an additional 3.5 jobs are created elsewhere in the economy. The National Mining Association estimates 50,000 new employees will be needed in coal mining over the next 10 years to meet increasing demand and to replace retiring workers. The average coal miner makes $73,000 per year in wages. U.S. coal and the environment. Power plants being built today emit 90% less pollutants, that's SO2, NOx, particulates, mercury, than the plants they replaced from the 1970s, according to the National Energy Technology Laboratory. I want to say thank you guys, and now Hamdi is going to take over for coal technology.
Technology. The United States Department of Energy works with private industry to develop carbon capture and storage technologies. Several methods are available under this technology, including pre-capture, oxy-fuel combustion, and post-capture CCS. Another technology under development is integrated gasification combined cycle, or IGCC. A more recent technology being co-developed by Bob Codd Thermal Energy is zero-emission boiler system ZEBS. This system features 100% carbon capture and, according to company information, virtually no air emissions. The Industrial Union Council of American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organization and the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity, ACCCE, released a study entitled Employment and Other Economic Benefits from Advanced Coal Electric Generation with Carbon Capture and Storage Technologies. The study estimates the employment and economic benefits resulting from deployment of advanced coal-based electricity generation facilities equipped with carbon capture and storage technologies that reduces carbon dioxide emissions. Depending on how many CCS-equipped plants are deployed, some 5 to 7 million man-years of employment could be created during construction and 250,000 permanent jobs added during operations. Conducted by BBC Research and Consulting, the study assumes that 20, 65, and 100 gigawatts of advanced coal-based electricity generation equipped with CCS are added to the nation's generation mix. Keep in mind, 1 gigawatt provides enough electricity for 300,000 to 400,000 homes. Now a little bit on just economy and financially. Cell phones, computers, and televisions. Americans are plugging in more devices that run on electricity than ever before. So it's no surprise the Energy Information Administration forecasts that our demand for electricity will continue to rise. To meet that demand, we're going to need all of our available domestic energy resources, especially coal. As coal is America's most abundant domestically produced energy resources and supplies affordable, reliable electricity at a relative stable price. Sure, wind and solar will play an important role in America's energy future, but they are not adequate replacement for all reliable electricity we get from coal. Coal generates the base load electricity we need to supply American homes, businesses depend on, no matter what the weather conditions are, and renewables cannot do that right now. A study conducted by researchers at Pennsylvania State University and funded by ACCCE looked at direct and indirect jobs associated with coal because of access to low-cost energy. The study found that U.S. coal production, transportation, and consumption for electric power generation would contribute more than $1 trillion of gross output, including 6.8 million jobs directly and indirectly to the economy. For working families, this money is spent on electricity bills, more money for other household necessities. That's why low-cost coal is so important. One of the primary advantages of using coal is its low cost. According to the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity and other government sources, household energy expenditure as a share of household income have nearly doubled in the last 10 years for more than half of American families, but coal's affordability has helped limit these rising costs. And that has meant more money for childcare, food, and other family essentials. A key finding of this study commissioned by ACCCE is that families who live on low or fixed incomes are experiencing the highest per capita household energy costs. On average, 60 million Americans household with annual income below $50,000 spend 21% of their after-tax income. That's 20 cents per dollar earned. What's even more troubling is per capita spending for energy is even higher for lower income households. Those families earning between $10,000 to $30,000 per year after taxes, and that's 23% of America's households, are spending 24% of their after-tax income on household energy-related costs. And one more thing, financial protection. The only financial valid way to compare costs of different sources of energy production is to calculate the per kilowatt hour cost. This method controls for variable factors such as capacity factor and useful life. The difference with coal and nuclear when it comes to the main cost components of energy are construction costs and production costs. The total cost per kilowatt can be calculated by taking per kilowatt cost of construction plus the per kilowatt of production. For nuclear energy, you must also add the per kilowatt of decommissioning cost to the production and construction cost of total per kilowatt cost. So nuclear energy, it must pay for future decommissioning of the facilities. In conclusion, coal's affordability adds up to more money in the pocket of U.S. consumers, a better bottom line for businesses, and a more vigorous American economy. Thank you. Any questions?
You guys talked about carbon capture technology. Is that already being implemented, or how long will it take for that to happen?
Well, it's a future thing. They are spending money on trying to figure out the technologies and one second. There we go. Yeah, they're working on it future-wise. Right now, coal's important for right now.
And then my question is, obviously coal's not going to be infinite forever. How do you guys see as the amount of coal starts shrinking in the long future? How do you think that will affect consumers money-wise?
How will it affect who?
Consumers.
Consumers.
Well, I mean, I think for right now, I mean, there's so much of it that by the time it would decline, I think we would have a substitute for it by now. I think over time, as we've seen with products or any type of material that we've used, we have been able to somewhat create a substitute. So I think that by the time it does deplete, there will be a substitute at the ready to take over in terms of all the products that it's used for and as an energy source. Okay. So, Kyle. Okay, Mickey.
It's not here.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Nolan?
It's not here.
Also not here. Okay, third time's a charm. Let's see. Dustin.
It's not a
It is not the charm. Okay. Bingo. Jose. All right.
Okay, so my question is, in the future, you're talking about how there's going to be a substitute ready to take over.
Right.
But right now we're seeing renewable energy expand at a really fast rate. Do you think renewable energy is going to be able to take over maybe in 5-10 years and coal maybe won't be necessary, or do you think it's going to be a necessity for a couple more years?
Well, like you said, coal has more than just electricity. They can use it for plastics and other stuff. And renewables is not really that fast rate. It's actually needs a lot of money to cost, and coal is we can afford it right now. And we already know the technology for it. We can add on some more.
I would say, in terms of technology, I think that right now, in the next 5 or 10 years, I don't think it will expand that much to where it could replace coal. I think that it would take much longer. I would say 20, 30 years at least. I think that they're making strides. I think they are improving things, but there are problems with like wind turbines not producing energy 85% of the time. I mean, there are those kinds of factors that do play a part. So until they start making up new blueprints, new designs, new ways to capture that energy and make it more efficient, I think coal will be dominant.
Keegan.
Okay, so your question was that coal was cost effective nuclear? Was that the question?
That's
So,
yes.
I didn't hear, maybe I just wasn't keying on it, but, where is it cost effective, the nuclear? I didn't hear a lot talk about nuclear. Is that,
What's cost effective then do?
Yeah.
We're trying to defend coal, not nuclear.
well, yeah, but, couldn't you point out why nuclear is not cost effective?
Well, I-
Because it's, well, let me just say something
Go
real
ahead.
quick. It's not as plentiful and it's not as cheap. Coal is cheap and it is very abundant at this point in time. There's a ton of it in reserves. It's readily used. I do like the hand gesture, I'm sorry.
Well, no, it was
But-
the fly.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. Anyway, but there was one statistic where it was worth $33 per kilowatt hour in 2010. I mean, it does produce a lot more energy than nuclear does at this point in time. With a small amount compared to amount of nuclear, it is more efficient at this point in time. Thank you for the question.
I can answer more, but, okay. Well, I was talking about the production costs, and, for all energy sources, there's only construction costs and, what did I say, and production costs. For nuclear, you gotta add decommissioning costs of facilities.
Because they're allowed to repair and, you know, if there's ever any damage, it can cost a lot of money to fix those plants.
And coal help a lot of the middle class to pay for the electricity so they can use it for other stuff. So coal is really cheap. compared to-
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually,